That's one reason why I never really liked beauty pageants. We're waiting for somebody to rate us. You see? See, when y'all learn how to play, you knew when you touched the base in the little league, you made it. You're not waiting for somebody to say good job. You already know you did a good job. And that's why it's so important for young girls to be in sports so they can develop that and not wait for, because you waiting for somebody to tell you you're pretty. It's socialized for you to wait for somebody to tell you something.
Girl, you've got it. Act like you know it. Girl, you've got it. And you might as well show it. Say, girl, you've got it. Act like you know it. Girl, you've got it. And you might as well show it. Girl, you've got it. Act like you know it. Girl, you've got it. And you might as well show it. Girl, you've got it. Act like you know it.
What's going on, sports fans? It is your boy again, the sports reporter without pay, and here we are again, month of March, Women's History Month. Y'all know what it is. Breaking barriers, women in sports, and I have with me today none other than the host of the internationally known podcast, Chat in the Garden, with a following of over 2,700 members. Y'all welcome Miss Monique Smith to the show. How you doing?
I'm doing well. And how about you, Ray?
I'm doing outstanding. Look, we just met like right before this, and I love your energy off camera. So I want to bring that to the camera. To the people who watching who don't know who Monique Smith is, tell them a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a leadership strategist for athletic department, sport organizations, and individuals who wish to advance in athletic administration. I'm a 30-year veteran of athletic administration. 10 years ago, tomorrow, I would have been a full-time entrepreneur doing what I said before. But I started out as a sports information director at St. Paul's College at like 22 years old. I interned when I was in college for the CIAA, my sophomore year in college. And then my junior, my senior year, I worked in sports information at Hampton University. So again, my first job was sports information director at St. Paul's College. By 28, I had been through 5 different athletic directors, and I was named athletic director at 28 years old. I left there. I remained in that role for about 2 years, and then I went to University of Maryland Shore. Went to Division I and was compliance director for 2 years. And then the commissioner of the CIAA said, "Come on back home." I went to the CIAA as the PR director. Then I was promoted to director of championships, then director of governance, and then essentially chief of staff. And like I said, 10 years ago, I went ahead and I like professional development the most out of my job, helping women to get the AD seat, to be quite honest with you. And so I just took what I did for the CIAA and just took it nationally. And my first client was the NCAA. They sent me out to do leadership workshops. So that started me. That gave me a great foundation. I was already a consultant. I used to do Title IX assessments and educate board members of different universities and athletic departments and financial aid and the business office of how they can really show the true picture of how they're serving their women's programs.
So, unbeknownst to you, my audience, you literally embody what this whole series is about: women in sports and breaking barriers. You are the epitome of that.
Thank you.
That's super. And I didn't know this. Again, I'm as intrigued as the audience. I'm listening to you rattle it off, and wow. So 22, you said you started at, right?
I'm now 55.
You've been doing this for a long time. So you've been breaking barriers and knocking down walls for quite some time.
Yeah.
One of the things that I've said to other people in some of the interviews I've done is a lot of times when you're the person fighting through certain hurdles and breaking certain barriers, you may not see the change, right? But you've been doing this long enough that a lot of the groundwork you've laid, you're starting to see the changes from it.
Well, I see the changes, but I might not be the person that's feeling the change immediately. I might be looking from afar. And when I tell people it's change agents, even when I talk to the student athletes, when they even social justice or speaking truth to power, you may not be the person that benefits from it. That's what legacy is all about. That's what significance is all about. You may not feel the success for you, but you know that you planted that seed, which is why my company is called Seeds of Empowerment. I plant seeds of empowerment to lead others to greatness.
That's outstanding. So you more so than probably any guest I've interviewed, right? Because we talk about the changes we're seeing now. And this whole series sparked from a conversation I was having with somebody about the different struggles and the different kind of hurdles that women face trying to thrive in this space. So a lot of the people I'm interviewing now are in their 20s and 30s and maybe just started doing this 5 or 10 years ago, but you've been doing it 30 years. So
Mm-hmm.
speak to that dynamic, maybe some of the different struggles that you had throughout your journey being a woman in this space, especially considering now from your mouth something that you push for, like one of your main jobs is to get women into those seats.
Well, I mean, I have a lot of those push them through. One of the things is mindset. If you're looking for external affirmation, you're not going to make it. You got to have that internal. I was telling I'm also an adjunct at Hampton University teaching sports management courses. And I was telling a young man in my sports PR class, I said, I told you when you do PR, it's SID work, sports information director work, but it keeps changing the titles. But you're not doing it. You're not doing it for the media. You're not doing it for the AD to say good job. You're doing it for the student athletes' eyes that light up when they see their name in print. You know, when the commentator says their name, it says it correctly. You know, when that kid who from high school never really saw his name in print, but when he got to college and he made first team, that's what it's all about. And only you can know to do that. I mean, it's a lot of grunt work with it. So if you start at the bottom like I did as a SID, when you move up, you're not looking for the outer girl. There you go. You know, you're looking for, okay, no means not right now for me. It's like I need to come back with a different angle. I need to educate you to influence you. And that's not manipulating. Let me be clear. Because you can still say no, but you can make an educated no, not just a feeling no. And, a couple of things. We brought bowling to the CIAA.
I'm a
Um,
bowler. I'm a bowler. That's my
oh,
life.
yeah?
Yes.
Really? Oh, wow. All
Yes.
right. So when I was at Maryland Eastern Shore, I was assigned as an administrator over bowling. After being, at St. Paul's, athletic director, and all that kind of good stuff, I was like, oh, this is interesting. And so I was assigned to the championship because I was an SID by trade. I said, now how are we going to tell this story, what we're doing? And nobody else is here except for the bowlers. So how can we tell the folks we had the very first MEAC bowling championship? I said, so what is the big thing? So I figured out the team that has the most strikes. I come to the CIAA, the commission says, I need 2 women's sports. I'm like, okay, I got one. And then I talked to the people that were doing collegiate bowling. The NCAA didn't have a bowling championship yet. They needed 40 teams. That's another thing. If you want to make change, you got to be forward thinking. Means you got to go get information before everybody else has and to educate them to see this is what we need to do to make ourselves stand a certain way. Even if it's a basketball coach and we need equipment and this equipment helps so-and-so and so-and-so do so-and-so, this is the new wave. You got to be in the books, even if you're just going to do social media, find out what the new trend is and figure out how you can help your institution or your program meet that. And so that's what I do. I mean, honestly, I learned it from, let me just do a little commercial. This lady here, this lady was my role model. This is Frida Golf. And this is my magazine, it's Significance in Athletics and Sports. It's the 5th one. It's on Amazon. But I say that it's because you probably wouldn't know most of the women that I'm talking about. So this is why this magazine is here, because this lady here is the one that put me in my very first NCAA committee. This woman here is the person I watched influence the men in committees to be able to say, how did she get them to buy in? She went to the NCAA committees and said, this is what they're doing. In order for us to get X, Y, and Z, we got to do this. So what you hear me saying is what I learned from her. Alfreda Goff.
So you kind of just talked about earlier. You were talking about people wanting instant affirmation or outside affirmation for that matter, and then you said no doesn't mean no; it means not right now. We do live in this microwave generation where everybody wants everything right now, right? If I start up and I do content, I want everybody to watch it right now. When I go in for an interview, I want them to tell me yes right now. That mindset of don't do it for the affirmation, right? Is that something that you've always had, or it was something that was developed over years of experience?
Oh no, I don't mean to be sexist, but young girls are socialized for wait to hear good job. Okay, that's one reason why I never really liked beauty pageants. We're waiting for somebody to rate us. You see, when y'all learn how to play, you knew when you touched the base in the little league, you made it. You're not waiting for somebody to say good job. You already know you did a good job. And that's why it's so important for young girls to be in sports so they can develop that and not wait for, because you waiting for somebody to tell you you're pretty. It's socialized for you to wait for somebody to tell you something. That's one reason why the NIL is lopsided in the sense of women and men. Women are waiting for people to bring them deals. Instead of going like, you got the most option because you already use all these beauty products, the fingernails, the eyelashes, all of that. They can pay you because you're already wearing it. But they don't think like that. They're waiting to be asked to dance. Because it's not polite for a girl to ask, you want to dance with me? That's how you socialized. So it is not, it's something that has to be unlearned. And so I call myself spiritually grounded. And I remember Joyce Myers had this saying, disease to please. And when I figured that out, I was like, I'm an only child. And I was the apple of my father's eye. And so to make my father happy, I tortured myself trying to learn how to play the piano. It was horrible. Okay. I was like, I couldn't play and pat and the number. I just hit the button. It just sounded terrible. But when I realized my voice, I said, Daddy, I've been playing events since the 8th grade. I was SGA president in the 10th grade. So me planning events, speaking truth to power, saying we're going to do this and that, that's me. And so when he realized, because this is mine, you can make money if you play the piano. I said, no, Dad, I can make money by planning events because I know how to do that. I finally found my voice. You see what I'm saying? And I never lost it. Now I had to learn tact. See, the beauty of being so young at this, the young people right now, nobody chain of command. No one told me, you said I'm SJ president. You didn't say I had to go to the advisor, then the principal. I knew the principal. Both my parents are school teachers. So I just went to him. Hey, how you doing? This is the plan. This is the budget. I learned early. So then by the time I go to work in real workforce, I realized you need to understand the game, the culture where you're in. It may not be you that brings the issue to hand. I like to call it playing spades. Sometimes you got to play off. You got to watch how the cards fall. But you got to be the most strategic person playing that game.
It's like you bring such a different dynamic to this whole series with the amount of experience that you have doing it and just the wisdom in which you speak. Like it's just so different from every other interview I did. Not better, not worse, just different. You bring such a different dynamic. I could sit here and listen to you talk all day. I really could.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
So again, I mean, 30 years is a long time. If you look back over your journey, what stands out is probably maybe the thing that you're most proud of.
The thing I'm most proud of is the network of Black women and how they connect with each other. And that's why I want to continue it on beyond the CIAA. Let me just name a couple of athletic directors that came either through the retreats that we would have, which I would hire a facilitator with for, or either in my current state. So, Virginia State Athletic Director, Winston-Salem State Athletic Director, North Carolina Central Athletic Director just retired, um, Dillard University, um, the number two at Vanderbilt, the new athletic director at Florida A&M, the new athletic director at Edward Waters. These are women that I have either touched directly or through my trainings that we would do within the CIAA. And for me, because I had Alfreda, but the key is that oh, I said Winston-Salem. It's been two women athletic directors at Winston-Salem. But what is for you is for you. Let's just be clear. And so there's competition, but it's competition if you know how to do it correctly to make you better. You're really competing against yourself to be the better person you were the time before, but you can learn from each other. Just last night, there was a situation with one of my clients, and I really didn't know what's the best way for her to address it. So I called one of my colleagues and said, when this happened, what did you do? And what was the procedure, and who did you get to help you, and blah, 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 blah. So we become a network to help everyone grow.
By the way, I need to backtrack. Earlier, when you were telling your story about your dad forcing you to play the piano, I was really hoping this story ended with you became great and you play to this day. Because I'm a musician as well. I play the piano. So I was hoping this story ended with I'm phenomenal. Nope, I left it alone and found my voice elsewhere.
I
So
did. But see, I don't have an ear for it at all. It was painful to hear.
I get it. You know what? Maybe it's better, like, because there are people that stick with it, and it's like, no, this not
No.
for you. This not for you.
And I don't believe in that. That's why when I do my work with clients, the first question I said, what is guiding your decisions? And if I hear to make someone so proud, we got to stop right there. Because you're going to become resentful eventually, and you won't even know why you're resentful.
That's a life lesson. It's a life lesson. A lot of people spend a huge chunk of their lives trying to fulfill somebody else's dreams. Uh, yeah, that ain't it. You mentioned as an Alfreda Golf. Am I saying that right?
Alfreda.
Alfreda
Mm-hmm.
Golf.
Mm-hmm.
Aside from her, is there anybody else that you would say was a huge inspiration or a huge motivation in your journey?
Well, my first boss was the first female athletic director for the CIAA, Jeanette A. Lee. And I always tell her family members that whenever somebody would see me, they would see her. She hired me. I was the first full-time woman SID in the CIAA. I was the first woman to get SID of the year in 1992. Um, and so she took a chance on me. But I will tell you, the training that I got from her was how to treat student athletes. Like I would see her write letters just for a child from the general population trying to stay in school. Homecoming, everybody came back. I mean, just to see her, and they weren't just. I mean, she coached women's basketball, but the male players, the football players, everybody, and so higher ed is really uh again, I said something about my podcast today. If you didn't go to HBCU, I'm so sorry for you, because ain't nothing like the love of a HBCU. And it is true, love will lift you up in all situations, and that's what I learned.
So last but not least, you do a podcast. Like, again, most of the people I'm interviewing, they're sports journalists. Your journey is a lot different, and I love it. but you do have a podcast. So tell the people where they can find the podcast. Where can they see you?
Well, the podcast is chatinagarden.com, and it's going on for 9 years. It's just that when I began the show, it was on somebody else's network. It was a survival radio network. Unfortunately, the person who was the founder of that passed away. So I had to download all of my previous, I think season 1 through 6. And then so I have it in a special vault called 200 plus 200 plus expert 200 plus expert. So I had to, so I could archive it, I had to put it somewhere real fast. And so that's what I've done. And so sometimes when I have replays, I go to the vault and I bring it in, and it gets back into the current system in chatinagarden.com. And so that's what it is.
Okay. Two more things. I've asked this question to a few other people, but I think for you, it's so much more valid. Like it's such a more meaningful question for you. What is Monique Smith's message to that young girl who doubts herself, who thinks maybe that this space isn't for me, and more specifically because she's a woman and she feels like as a woman it's going to be too difficult and she's going to have to overprove herself and she's going to have to work twice as hard and she's not going to be accepted. What is Monique's message to that young lady who wants to be in this type of space in any way, shape, or form, but feels like she can't?
Well, first of all those things are true. I was the only, when I interned, it was me and 4 guys. I told you when I was at SID, it's only female SID out of 12 schools. And so you will be the only. I worked the Olympic Festival, treated like I was a SID, and all these guys, all white males, were assistant ADs at Power 5 institutions. And they said, do you know how to do a media guide? I'm going like, I am an SID. You're an assistant. Why are you asking me these questions? A lot of it to do because I look young. And in that setting, it's because I had an accent. Okay. And I did doubt myself. But guess what? The Olympics came around in 1996. And where were most of the competition? On an HBCU, where I knew the lay of the land. I didn't go to Spelman. I didn't go, of course I didn't go to Morehouse. But I'm just saying, it was familiar to me. So I will say it's going to be difficult. So might as well make sure that you are in an environment where you can be yourself. I know everybody can't go to HBCU, but when you go for the interview, you also interview them just as much as you will be interviewed. One of the first things I would say, you're going to have to invest in yourself. Don't wait for institution. If they don't pay for, it's a young lady I was talking to recently. If they don't pay for Grammarly, you pay for Grammarly yourself to make sure you don't have any errors. All right. If it's for you to be in a membership somewhere, you might not get your hair done, your nails done. You pay for it. But at the same time, when you do your interviews, you ask, will I have a professional development line item? Even if they say no, at least they know you're ready to grow.
Well, last but not least, are you on all social media platforms?
Depends. I'm not on TikTok.
But you're on Facebook, what, Instagram, Twitter?
Yeah, I'm on Facebook, Monique AJ Smith.
No, hold on, don't do that. Don't do that yet. I'm a solo shot you. I want you to tell the people who watch this interview and love them some Monique Smith, I want you to tell them where they can find you. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, the whole nine.
Find me on LinkedIn. That's where I am. Find me on LinkedIn, Monique AJ Smith. That's where I like to talk.
Well, you made that simple. Okay, Monique, I have thoroughly enjoyed this. I'm not saying more so than any others, but I thoroughly enjoyed this. It was so different. Like I said, I could listen to you talk all day. There's a wealth of wisdom and experience coming out of those lips, and I appreciate you so much for taking the time to sit and talk with me and being a part of this. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
To the viewers, it has been another episode of Breaking Barriers with your boy Ray Lynn. our special guest, Monique Smith, and we will catch y'all on the next one.
Girl, you've got it. Act like you know it. Girl, you've got it. And you might as well show it.